girls that are doing it. Yes. Hello, yes. Hello and welcome to the very, very first late night at the Nedders. This has to be the sexiest of venues. I don't know how many of you walked through the main reception. I walked through this evening at about 6:30, looking at all the couples around the piano, all the couples around the bar, and all the couples at this bar. It's already kicking off. And I was thinking, how many are on a promise? How many are on a first date? How many are eyeing up others? How many will have sex tonight, do you think? This is, they say, the sexiest city in Europe, but it is also, and I know Louise from Bumble will have something to say about this, it is also one of the loneliest cities as well. So if you want to date, how do you go about it in this very overpopulated, crazy, mental city that we live in? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, with lots of drinks, lots of chat from the audience, but the most amazing panel of women. I wish we'd actually filmed the beginning, don't you girls? Yeah. Before we, all of us are just chatting at each other. So I have on my cue cards here the name of everybody, but I need my glasses. I'm the oldest member here. I don't want to put my glasses on for vanity's sake, so I'm going to kick off asking each of the girls to introduce themselves with one line of what they're about. Off with you, Pip.
My name's Pippa Vosper. I'm a writer for Vogue, W, fashion titles, and that's about it.
I'm Louise Troen, the VP of International Marketing and Communications at Bumble, and I have no idea what I'm doing sat here when there are single people looking to have sex around the net.
My name is Sam Davis. They call me Mama Sam. I'm a producer-director. Been working for 25 years, and I love to make things with a passion and that have meaning.
I'm Dasiy Vollons. I'm a social media and personal branding specialist, so I work with different people to make them come alive online.
I'm Troen. I'm a warrioress of love. So hopefully I help people love themselves, love each other. I'm also an astrologer, psychic and manifestor.
My name's Hayley, Quinn. I'm a TED speaker and I also run the UK's leading dating coaching company.
I'm Suzie Turner. I make couture luxury ladies wear here in London and also wedding dresses for those successful ladies finding love.
Fantastic. So, quite a formidable lineup, and a lot of ladies with a lot of history. I don't mean too much in that, but a lot of history. I have a lot of sexual history, and I'm of a generation where if someone bought me an Indian meal, I would sleep with them, just to be polite. And those days, hopefully, are well and truly over. I hope I've learnt my lesson. And what I'd love to discover tonight are the do's and Max, keep it quiet. Max there's getting carried away with his cocktails. These cocktails, girl, aren't they amazing? They are absolutely. I'm on antibiotics and I've had 2 cocktails, which is appalling. But I'd love to know actually how you date in this city at whatever age. I mean, is there an age limit? Do you have to be young and gorgeous? Can you be middle-aged and getting on a bit like me to actually score a hit? So I'm going to ask each one of you, and I'm going to kick off first of all with you, Pip. Is it fun to date? Now, I know you're happily married, but when you were dating, did you love it or was it a bit of a toil?
For me, it wasn't a good time. I did loads and loads and loads of work on myself when I realized I wasn't dating properly. I was a pleaser in fashion for 20 years. I was on shoots, and what I would do is you come into really close proximity with really famous guys, actors, musicians, whatever else, and they think they know you. So by the end of the shoot, they'd be like, "Can I have your number? Let's go drinking," and I'd have sex with them, clearly. And it always ended in disaster. And then it got to a point where I'd done so many disastrous dates and pleased so many, I said enough. So I was celibate for about 8 months, and I did loads of healing work and manifestation, bought a vision board, and I manifested my husband.
Bought a vision board?
Yes.
Oh my God, so you literally plotted it?
It was a project. Yeah, because all these disasters kept happening to me, so I was like, there has to be a change in me to make it happen. So I bought a new bed, I slept on only one side of it, I wrote down, yes.
Is that what you mean by manifesting?
Visualizing and manifesting, yes, and I wrote down exactly what I want my husband to be, and then he came.
Literally, in every sense. Can we just, look, Pip, can I ask, I mean, I don't know how many men here would find that. I mean, was he intimidated by that? It was like he entered this sort of world. He was almost entrapped.
Well, he didn't. No, he wasn't entrapped. He didn't know. Tricked. So I made it a point. So I'd have my very busy day, and then I'd get home. I was on all the dating sites, but I met my husband 10 years ago. there was no Bumble.
Yeah.
There was no Tinder, so I met him on Match.com when it was a really good pool. I met some great people on there before I met my husband. So I made it a project. I would spend 2 hours a night. I wouldn't go for drinks with my girls. I'd go home for 2 hours a night. I would sit and answer people and write to people and talk to people. And a few disastrous dates later, I said, I'm going to give it one more go. And I walked into a pub, and there was my husband. And I knew he was my husband. I knew this guy was my husband. And we dated. He lived on the street I went to school. Didn't kiss me till the 5th date.
Wow, wow. That's restraint.
He's just lovely. He's such a nice man. And because I stopped being cruel to myself by pleasing other people, I did loads of work on myself, didn't have sex, and I said, the next guy, I promised myself I'm not going to be trodden on.
Okay, so that's interesting because Pippa's younger than me, but you had, what was it you dated on? What was the app you dated on?
Match.com.
Match.com. See, I went to an agency where they went through a filing system and found out Mr. Right. So, you know, this is like completely new world for me. I'm going to skip you, Louise, because Louise is from Bumble and I've been watching her give talks and so much of what you say makes sense. So I'm going to hold back on you for a moment. Sam.
Yes.
Dating, is it fun?
I think it's a journey. I think it depends on where you are in your life. And for myself, being a director, it was on one stage it was really easy because I think they loved this energy, this power, this woman.
Are we talking the casting couch?
For him, maybe it was, not for me. I don't need to cast on any couch. But no, but this is like organic, it's delicious, and we're sharing some stories, which is beautiful. But for him, it was, oh my gosh, I'm going out with this director, she's amazing, and he loved it. But something made him weak. He couldn't take the power of me.
So this is an interesting point.
So we change the narrative, then the direction changes. And so I think that you have to really be strong within yourself and know where you're going, because it's one thing that they're in awe of you, being within that space, and I don't want anybody to be in awe of me.
No, but you held the power.
Yeah.
Louise, hold that thought, because I know you've got a lot to say. The gorgeous Dasiy. So come on, Dasiy, your thoughts on that?
So what's fascinating there
Yeah.
is men can find women intimidating.
Yes.
So I'm a busy girl. I don't often have a lot of time. And when I want to fill my time, I see my friends, I see my family. I'm working. So how do you allot time, I say loosely, for dating? And who is the right person that you put that time into? Because can you tell that through a dating app? Or do you need to meet somebody in a bar? And does anyone, I throw this out to the group, get approached in a bar anymore? Is
Good
that still a
question,
thing?
good
That's what I
Wow.
emailed you about earlier. I emailed Daisy and said, we need to find time to date. No one has time anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyone's
everything's
time
done,
for.
absolutely, everything 4G, everything's done rapidly, swipe, swipe, swipe. The old organic way of looking at the way someone moves, smells, talks, that's what hooks you in, or hooked me in. So is it all going too fast? I'm going to bring Michelle in here, because, go on, Michelle.
I've got a completely different point of view. Number one, I date women. Well, not anymore because I'm engaged. But my point of view is I lived in the middle of nowhere. Now, if you think of the odds of everybody moaning that there are no men and blah, blah, blah. I lived in the middle of nowhere. Percentage you want to say that women are into women. A lot more now. Happy days.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have never been single for longer than 5 minutes. You know, my relationship.
May I ask a very personal question? Have you ever dated men?
I've never had a relationship with a man, no.
But you've dated men?
No, I've never dated a man. I've had sex with a few men just to see if
So,
I'm missing anything.
so no, but can I just,
I was like,
you
no,
know,
I'm not really missing anything, so no,
but you know I'm going to ask, So oh God, it's so obvious. Is there a difference between the first connection with a woman?
Well, yes, every time I saw the way, I find it a bit boring, just because I miss that intensity. Women are intense, and it's on a very deep level. But basically, I believe that what you believe, you create, and also your relationship to yourself is fundamental. The odds of me finding love with this amazing woman in the audience here, 6 years together, about to get married, but I've never been
Is she
single.
here?
Yeah,
Where is
she's
she?
over there.
Hello. But can I ask you this? I mean, we're talking about dating in London. There is so much. I mean, everyone's so beautiful and lovely. And when I'm driving, I look at the people crossing by thinking, oh my God, they're all here.
You know what you've got to do? You've got to, number one, believe it's possible. Believe that you are lovable. And number one, be a beacon. Just visualise like there's someone out here
But I was
that's
gonna,
right for
I was
me.
going to ask that. Do you
Magnet.
believe in yourself? Because I didn't for a long time, and that's why I kept meeting these shitheads.
Yeah, I had great. I manifested women.
Yeah.
But I wrote a list, and I was really good at manifesting women. But I wasn't secure enough in myself, and I always the wrong women. And then actually the day I was getting a divorce, and I said, I can't wait to be single. I was thinking, I can't tell you how excited I was. Within a Rizzler space, 2.2 seconds, I met Kathy.
Yeah.
Because I was in that space to meet an equal partner.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun on the way.
Yeah.
You allowed
But this is the one.
yourself to receive.
Yes.
Also,
She's a
but I want to talk about, again, you know, this is a city. You say you're out in the sticks. Is there less opportunity, or is there less temptation to wander? Is there more places to pick people up or not pick people up if you're outside of London?
You've got to believe it. Do you believe that there is your ideal partner out there? That is the first step. Do you believe you are worth it? Once you know you're worth it and you are a magnet, I'm telling you, I'll do an experiment with you.
I'm up for that.
Not that kind of experiment.
So here's a question for you. In the world that we live in today, in the digital age where everything's accessible, gender fluidity and sexual fluidity is such a real thing. How do you deal with, or how do you go into a world where there's women who like women and men who like men, and we're happy to mix it up, and threesomes
Great.
and
Happy days.
quadruplets and everything else that you want to go for? How do you then find your potential long-term partner in that?
I think
Because
people are over-analysing and worrying too much. And actually, with all the fear, you're stopping the process, and all the, you know, we're brainwashing ourselves. We're catching the meme that there are no men, that no men are going to love me. This thing doesn't exist anymore. It's an illusion.
I'm going to bring Hayley in.
agree.
Hayley, I
agree.
watched you do a brilliant TED talk about this, and you said you were that person who was running around like a headless chicken.
I was running around like a headless chicken because I wasn't very happy with myself. I was in a bad space in my life, so I was using dating as a bit of distraction. Because I think when you're really lost in loads of chaotic romances, you know, where everything is always a disaster, you've always got something to talk about with your friends, you don't really have to do the work like that you were talking about, that you actually have to do on yourself to take the personal responsibility to create that change. So I'm a big fan of what you were saying. If we enter into this dialogue of believing, which is actually the most common dating question I get from the ladies, which is where are all the men, let's say, or where are all the people, we kind of start to believe then that dating is all about a geographical location or about joining a particular dating app. And that puts all of our power outside of ourselves, and at that point we're screwed. You know, we need to actually look and go, you know, what's actually wrong in my behaviours? You know, what's incomplete in myself?
Exactly what I did.
Absolutely.
What big thing in my life haven't I quite looked at that's probably preventing me from making those connections?
Thank you. I'm
So
just going to
true.
move on to Suzie. Suzie, is dating fun?
I'm having a lot of fun dating. So I think as long as, for me, I'm an observer of myself whilst dating, and I don't get too caught up in if this man is right for me in that moment, because dating is quite exhausting. You have to put a lot of time and effort into it.
How do you do that?
You have to give it time.
But how do you find the date? Do you on an app? How do you do it?
I've tried all the apps. I think I've been through all the apps and all the candidates on the apps probably twice. They're like, we've already matched, we've dated, you didn't like me. Like, why are you swiping on me again? I'm like, oh, I can't remember that one. But it is fun, but I think with dating, you have to give somebody time, because people put their best person forward. They put who they project themselves, who they want to be to you. And then it takes so many dates before you get underneath that and find out exactly who they are.
Yeah.
And that takes time, and that's what's quite exhausting.
I know
Get to
Daisy's
the,
got loads to say about this.
Yeah.
I need to bring Louise in, because Louise, I've been watching you talk on loads of, big round of applause. So Louise is from Bumble, and you're VIP marketing for Bumble.
VIP.
She's just a very important person. But I'm going to put words into your mouth now. There are two things that you say which I think really resonate, because this is a very crazy, cruel city, as much as we all love living in it. And you say, be kind, be kind, be kind. Yeah. You also say, and I have to pick you up on this, your mantra at Bumble is women make the first move.
Correct.
Can we? Can we?
Yes.
So I truly believe that we've been conditioned as women, and I have a lot of good men in my life, so I believe that men have also been conditioned to believe this as well, that we can't make the first move. There are societal expectations around our genders that make us wait as women. You have to ask me for a drink. I have to ask for a pay rise. I can't ask for things that I want because society has set up systemic oppression. We can unpick that and we can unstitch that conditioning that has been formed. But the only way we can do that if women and men club together as equal people, not as genders, to push it forward.
Yeah.
So what we're saying at Bumble is we have a mission, and that is people have successful relationships when 4 things happen. They hold each other accountable, they respect each other, they're kind to each other, and they believe in equality. What we then did is we built a functionality into the app where women had to make the first move. So when women make the first move, do you know what happens to the men? They feel flattered, they feel interested, they feel like they're in a position where they aren't expected to pay for dinner, to ask the woman certain things, and straight away you reverse engineer what society has conditioned for multiple generations.
Amazing.
And in a very simple way, the app is free, it's called Bumble, and we've had over 15,500 marriages. It works if you base a brand on fundamental principles of human behavior. And I think what we're getting wrong is we're saying, why didn't he pay for dinner? Or why didn't she do this? In actual fact, why can't we just set down as 2 people and go, treat me with respect, be kind to me, and be accountable if you make mistakes. Because by the way, we're all going to make mistakes.
Amen.
I fuck up every single week. And I think it's really important to remember, like, that's human. And instead of seeing ourselves as genders and playing into toxic femininity and toxic masculinity, take 2 steps back and remember what humanity is. And it's being kind and patient and listening and having empathy for each other. And the most fruitful relationships come from that.
Okay, but I will say, infatuation drives you insane. So kindness can often go out the window because you are acting like a mad person. You know, you think, I want to shag them here, there. I'm not going to say, are you up for this or whatever. I'm just going to act on my hormones, my instinct. That's what happens. Great, the premise you talk about is great if both parties come from the same point of view. But how often does that happen?
What is wrong with being infatuated and having sex in multiple locations? I think it's about our attitude. I think we have to say to ourselves...
Daisy's going to pass out.
I need to say something really
Go on,
honestly.
Sam, go on.
You go.
You know, you're talking about a lot of what's happening here is sex. And that's the problem. We're giving up stuff that we don't need to. We don't even know their surname, first of all. So we need to take time, honey. You know, we need to understand what we want. Everybody's out there talking about, I want, and I need. Listen, we're at a place now where we say, this is who I am, and this is what I can give. And I want to share that with somebody. So when you're talking about what you're looking for, what are you looking for? Are you looking for, as you said, a shag? Because, honey, we can get a shag anytime. My doorbell will ring.
She can, I can't.
Back up the truck, honey. I had a major operation last year. And something in that operation evolved me. And then I was healing. And within that healing, I had my robe on. It was sunny last year. I was feeling fabulous. And the doorbell rang, ding dong. And then I had a and then as I go,
In case you don't know what a doorbell sounds like.
And I was like, hey, we're ringing my doorbell. And I opened the door. And this delicious human being stood outside the front door. And he was 6'4", and he had a rib like this. And I said, good night, good afternoon, and amen. And he went to me. He looked at me up and down. And I said, he looked like he was going to do me something fabulous. Anyway, what I'm trying to say to you is...
What app is this?
No,
Can I have it?
And that's what I'm saying to you, there's no app. This is real stuff. Now, we choose what we choose. We make a decision about what we receive in our life. So if you're going to go out and look for sex, if you offer a man for sex, he's going to take that sex, honey. And he's not having to do any work. And that's the problem. We're doing all this stuff. Why? If a man wants to be with you, he will be with you. He will do what he needs to do to be with you. He will pay half rent. He will pay those bills. He will be a part of your being. I got girls that will say to me, I want to be with him. He will never be part of it. He's only coming nighttime. So what are we allowing? You know, I've got this thing about cash or account. If you want sex and you just want to be fulfilled, great. He's on cash, you know, because instantly he's not, you know, it's just one time, yeah? But if you want a relationship...
He's on account.
Yeah.
Honey.
Nice.
I just want to jump in here. I know, Sam. I'm nodding at everything you say. I just have never managed to sort of follow that theory through, but I am nodding. I want to go back, and I want to bring Dasiy in here because Suzie, you were talking about. I said to you, why are you not dating? And this whole thing about people lie. And again, we can bring you in on this, Louise. Is that okay? All the nice blokes and all the nice girls and everything who are telling the truth, but a lot of people aren't. And social media lends itself for an awful lot of catfish, of lying, whatever you want to call it. You've been burned by it.
I've been burnt a few times, but I truly honestly believe that any kind of dating, meeting people is a pleasure. If you like people, I love meeting people, I love getting to know people. And I feel through dating, we learn a lot about ourselves. So when you start to understand someone else through dating, you understand their insecurities and what does that mirror back in me. I love what you said about doing the self-work. I truly believe it's not until we do the work on ourselves that we're attracting the right man. And innately, there's something within me that wants to keep me single, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? This is important, right? You know that guy you said was involved with someone else?
Yes.
I bet you knew on some level.
I did. I do believe,
we ignore our intuition.
I think that we ignore what we want to give us what we need, and it's only when we're really faced with the truth do we then take action.
You enjoyed it because you could go along with the fantasy. Well, really, in the back of your mind, you thought, "Let's do it."
It keeps me single.
This
It keeps
is
me single. But
self-validation. This is a validation thing that we innately feel like that we should have, where you go out, you go for drinks, and someone wants to sleep with you. You say, yeah, do you know what? I'm going home with you, and that makes me feel great about me.
But this is
the next
problem.
day,
It's the
we
sex
test
that
you
we're
is the
giving
problem.
away. We are giving away sex for, come on.
Yeah, but
Keep
you
your
know what?
panties on.
No,
Keep your panties on. Listen.
No, but some girls want. If you want to go out, and you want to get it. Why not?
no,
Because men
stop.
go out and do it. And
No,
they
but
can get
that's
it.
a man.
Totally with you
That's
on
a
that.
man.
No, but
And
if
that's
you
what
want
I'm
to do
saying
that,
to
you should
you.
do that.
I actually totally agree. If you are in a safe environment
I
and
think
you
you should.
choose
Yeah, I
as a
agree.
woman to have sex,
If I wanna
more
go and do that, I
empowerment
should
to
do
you.
that.
We are talking two different things here. If you want sex, and that's the problem with ladies, they want something, they want a relationship. Let's get down to the bottom of it.
I don't
I
think they
totally
always do.
disagree.
I don't think they
A lot
always
of
do. I
the
think
time
sometimes they want
do want
validation.
Yes.
Or they just like having
Or they want, yeah, they just want to get
saying.
laid.
No, but that's
Like
too good.
sometimes you
It's
just want to get
still
laid.
your mixed messages.
Disagree.
Because of God.
Do you?
No,
I
I
do. Do you?
Hold on, Sam.
Yeah, I
Sam,
do.
Sam.
Hold on.
Hold on.
No, but I always had sex to lead to a always to lead to a
And
relationship.
does a guy
Always,
I would
always,
question-
does a
always.
guy think?
Some
I
people
think
do
it
want
doesn't
to
mean
have
that.
sex.
I
Some
think some
women
people
Okay.
just really want to have
just
sex.
Okay,
but I-
hold on a moment. I'm going to, even worse than you, Pippa. I would only...
I'm not bad for that. Thank you very much. Even worse than you.
No, I don't mean even worse than
Excuse
you.
me?
No, when you said you got off and had sex.
security
Sorry.
now.
I would...
I love it.
We are friends. We've known each other for...
This is
Even
where
worse
I'm
than
from.
you.
I literally
That's
couldn't...
not women empowerment.
I couldn't have sex unless I was drunk. I had to have a drink to have sex.
So there's the question, how much is too much on a first date? Do you get drunk? Do you have one drink? Do you not have any drinks? Like, what's the level? What's an appropriate drink to order? What is...
A
Like,
matcha
can I go
latte.
in and have,
Matcha
you know what,
latte.
like 2 pints? Yeah.
Louise.
Off we go. Or do we go, I'll have a nice cocktail, there we go.
I think we've all really misunderstood this. I think I have a lot of friends and I am single and I feel very confident saying this. I am focused on my career. I take my family and my friends very seriously. I have not met someone that adds exponential value to my life, but I would also like to have sex. And if I didn't choose to have if I didn't, I probably would have sex with you.
You too, you're gorgeous.
You too.
That's all I'm saying.
You're greedy. Can I just...
Don't try and manifest this. I see this for you.
I just...
We're still coming down to we want relationships.
No, but I
No,
wanted.
but not everyone does.
No, but I
This is
did. No,
interesting
but I
thing.
said it because I did because I needed the validation. Like
point,
I didn't have self-worth. So if I had enough, if I'd worked on myself more and didn't have such low self-belief, I would have enjoyed sex. But I didn't. Every single man I slept with, I wanted him to come back to me to prove to myself that I was worthy.
But there are some
Yeah.
people that have fuck buddies, have sex with friends.
And I wish I could have done that.
Yes,
But
yeah,
I
but if you-
felt
that's
I
what
was
I mean with it.
self-worth.
No, but that's a
Exactly.
separate thing to a relationship. So they have specific sexual relationships that are just for sex. And then, but if you want a relationship or you're confused or you're insecure, if you've got other issues, then it complicates.
But we will
Because
never
you're
get
soul. You're
past.
selling your soul for intimacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not good.
Intimacy
That's
validation.
Hang on, I want to hear from Hayley. Go on.
And the other thing I would say, that the only bit I take umbrage with is the phrase "give it away."
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so,
Easy.
you know, but the thing is about that, I think it makes it a bit more like an object as
Yeah.
a woman, and our self-worth is judged around how many people have or have not had contact with our bodies, and I think we need to detach self-worth from our relationships with men. And I think when it comes to figuring out the relationship stuff, all I would say is, if you are in a scenario where you feel like I'm constantly getting burned, I'm misjudging stuff, I'm racing towards that person because maybe I'm not quite sure enough in myself yet, and
I
you're
agree
coming
with that.
from that space, in that sense, it makes so much sense to slow it down.
Yes.
Because I think when we, some people,
Honey,
unless
pull up
we're
your
mystical,
panties.
Honey,
mystical powers of intuition,
Honey, I was
really
pulling
tune
down
in-
panties.
That's the problem.
in tune with that. I think a lot of the time our ability when we feel like, oh, I see someone at first sight and I'm in love with you, or we idealise people.
But is that a
No,
thing?
no, I
Is love at first
I
sight a thing?
disagree. Yes.
Yes.
We met
Hang
at
on,
first
hang on,
sight.
hang on. I missed what you said there.
Like,
Is love
firstly-
at first sight a thing, or is
Yes.
it something that
Yeah.
we've just
Okay,
I
okay.
will-
Hold this
same
thought.
as
Hold this
Michelle.
thought. Max, do we all need a drink?
Yes.
Woo, yes.
Max has got the most amazing cocktail.
Cheers. Remember, mate, it's delicious. It's delicious.
Come on, Max. What are you making for us?
Tonight we're making you the PS Martini, which is conic style vodka with a little bit of passion fruit, touch of vermouth, and some
You see,
champagne
you got
cordial.
the
It's amazing.
A little bit of passion.
Over there.
That is classic, Matt.
Shall we all cheers
Yes.
to Max?
To
Max,
Yes.
delicious. Absolutely delicious. I
If you
need.
want them,
Oh,
keep your
that's
panties
delicious.
on.
I need to bring in Michelle here about astrology. You know I was going to go down this line. So is it a cliche? But Michelle, if anyone's qualified to talk about this, you are.
And I'm not going to let the cliches come in. So
No.
knock
But is
yourself
it
out.
in the stars? Are we predestined?
I tell you what, you can look at sun sign astrology, which is all of our different star signs, yeah. But the meat in the bones is if you look at the time, place, and date of your birth, you can go online, go on my website, get it done for free, blah, 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 many places you can. You have a wealth of information. It's the map of your soul and the map of your relationships. Let's say, like, I happen to have moon in Pisces. I'm very sensitive, very, very sensitive. Whereas my partner's got moon in Aquarius, so she could be quite detached and talk about emotional things in a detached way. And I'm like, oh, but I want the bond. I want you to understand all of my feelings. Right? So when you're in a relationship like that, you can take that personally, right? But that's the thing I spent 2 years taking that personally, even though I'm an astrologer. But what you do when you know the way, and let's forget about astrology. When you understand a different individual has a different emotional makeup to you, not everyone is like you. We make the mistake of thinking everybody's going to understand us like their carbon copy. No.
Yeah.
If somebody responds differently emotionally, birth chart will tell you that shit, but separate to that, even if you don't believe in astrology, if somebody responds differently emotionally, you have to learn how to communicate and blend and learn from the different ways of being. And that's why astrology is so powerful, unbelievably powerful.
So Michelle, sorry to interrupt you.
you go.
My husband's a Gemini, I'm a Pisces. Now, on paper, this is the worst match on earth, right?
But he'll stimulate you
He's the
intellectually, yeah. But because he'll listen
He
to
better
you.
stimulate.
He's quick-witted. He'll take time to listen to you. He'll feed back stuff to you.
Yeah, he does.
And you're like, I'm fulfilled. So
That's why it works.
Yeah, and also you don't drown in emotions.
Yeah.
Michelle, can I just ask a question? If you went upstairs to the bar, I know this is making you do tabloid, astrology.
I don't mind.
If you were
Well,
upstairs with
yeah.
all those beautiful people upstairs,
Yeah.
can you look at each couple and go, no, they're on a loser, they're on a winner,
I can, yes.
Stop
I would
it.
say yes because I'm not.
Do it. Oh my God.
We're taking her upstairs. Part 2 is upstairs.
I can like watch the people relate for 10 seconds and I will feel the energy of that
Really?
and I will immediately know who's the boss, where it's going, what the flaws are.
Amen.
But, you know,
Do you work together?
I believe in healthy boundaries now. Didn't used to. So I like cut off, and I'm off duty in that sense. But if I had permission, boom, boom, shakalaka, bring it on.
Here's a question, and you touched on it there. In a world like communication is key, but there is so many different ways to communicate now. Do you go for a drink? Do you go for dinner? Do you WhatsApp somebody? Do you
have to
call
listen?
somebody?
You have
How
to
do
be
you
still.
do that?
Guess
How do
what
you
the problem with
balance that?
society is? We're not still. We're constantly feeding ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
So we don't take, if we put all that to one side, you put your phone down for 5 minutes and you reflect on that person, you have a conversation, if you were still 25 seconds, you would actually know what you had to do.
Yeah.
We're just so busy.
Because it's so responsive and so immediate.
Yeah.
I guess
I emailed Dasiy earlier about, do we put our phones down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we go to clubs, be it a running club, be it a board game club, you know, be it a chess club, whatever it is? And do we just put our phones away? I'm sorry, Bumble, I'm losing business for you.
It's fine for all the people that want to play chess. No?
We're not even chess,
You.
like badminton, tennis, like any sporty or non-sporty, whatever it might be. But do we put our phones away and see what can happen organically?
Yeah, but you know, let me just say one thing about apps, right? I believe that they are connecting us. So you could connect with people that are on the same, in my hippie old language, if not hippie, on the same vibrational level that you wouldn't necessarily meet next year. I'm the queen of manifestation, so I manifest it close to me. But if I didn't, and let's say I could manifest someone in America, and I've always wanted to go to America. Do you know what I mean? Whatever you want,
it comes.
I would like to add to that, that if desire is on the left and output is on the right, apps are not saying that we're sitting here or here. We are the bridge between.
Yes.
The amount of men that I have dated through Bumble that I would never have come into contact with because they don't work with me, they don't sit in my social circle, and they're not family friends of mine. They come to us because they want strong, progressive women that believe in equality. And
What's
by the way,
the app again?
Bumble.
Technology is powerful magic. It's 21st century magic.
It's powerful.
If
how you use it.
Dasiy,
It's how
can,
you-
absolutely,
so
and you
here's a
can use it to
question.
your advantage. Only Dasiy,
Or
I'm
not.
sorry. I just want you to, when we were getting made up, I was getting made up, you didn't need it. Can we just talk about what you were talking about, your friend who was on Find My Phone, when she went off on a date and she went, right, you need to know where I am at all times. And this, again, is when technology can work for you.
Yeah.
And it's probably the safest thing to do.
What's interesting about that is sort of safeguarding around dating, and how back in the day I was talking to my grandma about it, and she was like, well, he'd ask me for a drink and we'd get in the car and off we go. And you wouldn't think twice about it, off you go. And in the digital age that we're in, when you're on apps, you go through, hands up if you stalk somebody on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook to see who they are first. Come on, we've all done it, even some of us. LinkedIn, wherever you are that I was talking to before. And that is a very real thing. But what we also have on the back of that is the technology that protects you. So you have Find My Friends, and I say, I'm on a date, if you don't hear from me from 11, check where my location is or check what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I will let you know. And I think that's incredible.
Absolutely.
That allows you to go into a situation.
Oh, here we go.
Max! This is Max.
What's the mama, honey? Work that drink, honey.
Max,
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Max isn't single.
Let me fix that ponytail, honey. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Can I want to
Spirits up
ask
that with me
Louise
tonight.
from Bumble. Oh gosh, thank you. I really shouldn't be doing this, but
Thanks, gorgeous.
Max, can you just smile into the camera so everyone can see how gorgeous you are? Thanks, Max. Cheers, Max. This, by the way, is the first late show at the Ned. Yes? Line them up, Pip. Line them up. Can I just ask Louise from Bumble, if this was a male, I don't think you'd ever find a lineup like this of men. Personally. No, but if this was a formidable lineup of similars in men, God, I am pissed. Would it be a similar discussion?
No, of course not.
Why?
But, okay, first things first. I just want to say one thing. Feminism is not about bashing men.
No.
And
Agreed.
I really want to make that really clear. A lot of people call us a feminist app, which we're more than happy to be called. But it's incredibly important to me that we don't sit here and we say, men don't do things right. Men are terrible to us. We don't have a choice. Feminism is about women having choice.
But they do things differently.
But so
and
do-
this came to my question when I said, it works if you're both from the same mindset.
Yeah.
Correct.
They will not be thinking like us.
So should we throw it out to a man?
Some
in
do,
the- in
though.
the
Yeah,
audience? I can see one just over there.
Are there any men in the
A man is not supposed to think
Here we
the same.
go. What's your
He
thoughts
comes
on
with different
dating?
tools, you know?
What's your thoughts on dating in the modern day? Are you on apps? Are you not on
I
apps?
don't.
Are
No,
you
me
friends?
personally, I don't like apps at all.
So do you do it on a connection if you see someone in
definitely.
somewhere like
I'm quite
upstairs?
old-fashioned. I like to interact
Do you
with
go
people.
up to the girl?
I do, yeah, but
You do?
I'm quite sensitive on how I do it. So I'll probably be complimentary if she had a nice dress on.
So, go on, this question. There's a group of girls.
You look wonderful. Get your coat, you're fooled.
Sam, this is your night.
But here's a question for you then. If there's a group of girls, and often, and I speak for myself here, but if I'm out in an evening, I'm usually spending it with friends, there's a few of us out, is that an intimidating situation for a man to walk into if there's a group of girls having a good time?
That's a fair point. Me personally, I wouldn't be intimidated, but I know some guys who would be. Some of my friends. I am. I know friends of mine who wouldn't approach girls like that because you always get the friend who says, "Don't talk to my mate," like the bully one, the protective one. That happens all the time.
And that's what I'm talking about.
The girls wonder why they're single.
It's great that you approach women. And someone was saying that she goes out, she just wants to sit at the bar and have a drink, and she finds it actually, why can't she sit at the bar without someone? Why can't she sit at the bar without someone coming up at her and saying you've got a nice dress? And I went to a private members club, not this one or anything affiliated, and some guy came up to me and said to me, "You look like you'd be really, really good in bed." I said, "Well, funny you say that because yes I am, but fuck off." And then someone else got out a dick pic. I am not even joking. And I said, "Well, I wouldn't be showing that off," and I'm not even joking. Anyway, non-judgment because all penises and vaginas are lovely. But at the end of the day, I had that. I'm minding my own business, and someone comes up and says that to me. What does that mean?
I would like to say something on behalf of the guys. On behalf of the guys, because I work with men and women pretty equally. I'm in favour of everybody taking personal responsibility and learning to make the first move, because I think it's co-created, and it's never been the case of the man approaching the woman. You know, the woman would always be at least sending signals or being proactive, and maybe
send a signal.
Not in the same way, but in a similar way. And when I hear about the guys, I want to have some empathy for the guys out there as well. Because they're not having a fab time at the moment in many ways.
So I just told you an experience. I live in Devon. I came to London for one day, and I got shown a dick pic, and someone said, "I look like it."
No one is condoning dick pics. It's not the same thing.
Can I just say, this amazing guy here, who we will call Mr. X because the camera isn't on him. It's very interesting what Hayley was saying, is that men aren't having too good a time at the moment.
No, for sure.
You know, because for all sorts of reasons. Have you? I don't know how old you are, but over the years you've dated. over the years you've dated. Have you noticed a change in behaviour between when you initially come onto a woman, when you initially say, "I like your dress" or whatever? Is there a difference? Has it swung in a different direction than when you first started dating?
Yeah, I do think things have changed a little bit, but mainly, like I keep saying, the overprotective friend that keeps stepping in.
If you send a message to a girl, a woman, and also you're going up to her in a bar or whatever, do you worry about the repercussions? I said this to her, is she going to screenshot it and show everybody on her social media?
Very true.
No, because
you know, there's been cases of like suspected rape, there's been actual rape.
Yeah, for sure.
But sometimes it's just a bad date.
Yeah.
And I've had many of those bad dates. And I would never pull that guy up and say, "You attacked me." I'd say, "I made a bad decision in coming with you."
Yeah. But that's ownership. That's taking ownership of the situation. I think there is.
Yes, it's very let me speak to it. It's very dangerous. It's very scary. Because you could do something. Sorry, Joe, you could do something on a date, and I'm 42. In my 20s, that was a bad date. In this day and age, that's suspected rape.
Good point.
You know, it's pretty dangerous.
Do you know what, Pippa? Like Suzie said earlier, you've got a lot of guys out there who pretend and portray to be something they're not.
I think this is, in the age of Me Too, #MeToo, Louise, we need to bring you in on this because, as Pippa said here, there's different interpretations of different acts.
Yeah. So it's a really fragile and tricky subject to talk about, and I think the first thing I would like to say is I don't have the answer right now. I don't think anyone has the answer, and I would be foolish to sit here as someone that works for an app and say this is what I think and this is gospel. What I would like to say is that so much of this comes down to policy and regulation. On our app, we have various different moderators and we have codes of conduct and ways of behaving, but unless we have legislation that very clearly defines what is assault, abuse, rape, misconduct, and there are various different stages of it, it's going to be very challenging for us to ensure that women feel safe. I think we're at a point right now where we're moving forward and we're getting to a point where a lot of women are expressing their discomfort with certain situations, but what we haven't done is marry moderation with regulation, and that is where politics and government come into place. And
Well, that's the
something-
same for society, isn't it?
Right. And I think that is number one protocol and number one critical is that we can sit here and raise awareness of females being abused or people being catcalled in the street. There is a reason why France now penalise men that wolf whistle women in the street. They have to pay for €1,000. We need to get to a point. Yes, brilliant. That we need to get to but we need to get to a point where, and I think Me Too has been incredible because it's brought so much to the forefront. But raising awareness and stories sit here, but regulation and political action sit to the right. And I think as brands, you know, I feel an incredible amount of responsibility and duty for ensuring that our marketing spend and our campaigns are actually something that can affect change.
And I think that also feeds into social media and how the use of social media has changed. So you have great on a lot of the apps, particularly Bumble, you can report people, or this has happened, I've had a particularly bad date and this person gets removed. What
Scary,
you don't
I
then,
agree with you there, it's scary.
Absolutely terrifying, but then you can also, and that's where the Find My Friends thing and things like that come into play.
Yeah.
You can also have people slide into DMs on Instagram, and that's a perfectly acceptable thing to do. To send a dick pic or to do this. But that's a minority. That is a minority of people into some respects, and actually you could go out, meet a guy in the bar and he's lovely. So I feel like you've got to get that balance.
You see, I would never allow a dick pic like that.
Okay, but I think there's a respectful and a not respectful way of approaching that, whether it's on an app, on a social media, in real life. And also the way we get to respect is we take feedback from the situation, right? So we witness somebody's reaction. You know, and if your friend is barging in saying no, she doesn't want to talk to someone, it's like, okay, you know, I know you move away. So I think it's better to do it that way, to think about what respect could mean, think about what communication could be, and to actually also give people an opportunity to think for themselves as individuals, because everybody has different perspectives around, you know, how they want to be approached and how they want to be engaged with, and to feel that out is good, I think. I think to just say blanket, you know, all approaches are bad or you're not allowed to do this, that actually is going to drive things underground. I don't think it's the right conversation.
And in defence of men, I believe that, well, call me naive, but I actually believe that sometimes we do a disservice to men because they may have sex when drunk and regret it. Not like, you know, maybe have great, you know, whatever. You know, men have feelings as well and are complex as well. And actually, in our patriarchal society, they have to hide their complexities under bullshit. And I think hopefully we'll get to a stage where we will all become more honest with our feelings. Yeah. And it's definitely not. And I also agree that it's maybe gone a bit too far in some ways. And I'm telling you, I'm all Me Too. But if you can't even, not in his way, but if you can't do it in a respectful way, nobody should be fearing about human contact with human contact.
Right.
We should be more like Bumble.
But we will respectful because of social media. All of you ladies are going online to look for love.
Not all of them.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Listen to me carefully. You are looking for love, and you don't know who they are.
Isn't that just how it starts?
Unless you go Bumble.
Listen.
The thing is, we don't know.
Listen, we've run out of time. I want to finish with Suzie because Suzie has sat here so elegantly. And Suzie, and I just think someone as beautiful as you, who's just said, actually, I've had my fingers burnt, I'm just going to sit back a bit. Having heard tonight's discussion, are you encouraged to get back into the dating scene, or are you going to remove yourself even further?
No, absolutely. I don't think, and it's not burnt, it's learning.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that we all have to read our environments and the people that we meet. And ultimately, when we're meeting people new, if they haven't done the work on themselves, we have to give them time to come forward and understand who they are. I have had lots of Bumble experiences, and recently one gentleman very handsome young man, he was called Jack on the app. When we met, we had an amazing first date. We had a second, because I don't drink, I can't make any foolish choices about who I have sex with. So I don't have any regret about what I choose or not choose to do. But on our second date, he informed me his name was Jason. And then on date 3, when I was introducing him to people, he said, actually, my name is Jay. And I was like,
Was he photo verified?
Who are you? Who are you, actually? And it wasn't until the grace of an amazing private members club where I had a 4th date where I said to the team, can you check his ID on the way in so I can fully understand that I could feel safe in who he was, because ultimately after so many dates it's going to get intimate, and before I bring someone to my home I want to know who someone is, but obviously in the first few dates you can't be like, who are you, what do you know, what do you do,
Why not?
Whatever it is you want to know.
Why not?
It's do you know what I want? I still want to keep the unfolding and learning of someone.
You've all been talking about sex.
No, so it's about allowing still the unfolding of someone, but at some point when you haven't met somebody through people you know, and it is cold from an app, then I think that sometimes if you're part of a members club, what's great is that I feel really safe when I have dates here, and I can have them check their ID when they come in, just to make sure that I feel safe.
I've never thought of that. I love that idea.
It's a great idea. We didn't actually get to the bottom of what his name was because he didn't have ID on him. However, that was the end of that day. I know what my, what my boundaries are, what I will compromise and what I won't, and so I'm very clear on that. So that was the end of that, and I move on, and there's no fingers burnt. You know, it's putting safety in place, like you say, with the
very important.
Well, we'll be doing a catch-up with you, Suzie.
Yes, I'm still dating.
Can we all raise our glasses to the Ned and to our audience? And can I just say, we're all going upstairs with Michelle to see who's on a date tonight, who's going to be lucky. Cheers. Thank you.